Welcome to another episode of Poopology. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Poopology. We have a Halloween special today. Yay! So I'm Eve, and my most terrifying moment was actually only a few weeks ago when I saw the largest spider I have ever seen crawling up the curtain that's next to my bed whilst I was lying in bed watching TV, and the lights were semi-turned off, and I saw something move. You know, when you see something move with the corner of your eye? And I was like, what is that? And then I saw something black, and I'm like, oh, it's just a shadow. And then I saw something move again, and I was like, what is going on? So I turned the lights on. This thing was literally the size of my hand. I'm not kidding. It was so big.
Oh,
and I thought, oh my God, what the hell? Where did this come from? And you know, when it's so big, you just think, I can't go to sleep and ignore it because it's too big. Yeah. I'm scared that it will, like, I don't know, eat me in my sleep or crawl up my nose or something and lay eggs, or I don't know, something really gross. So I took a slipper and I thought, this slipper ain't going to do it because this sucker is too big. So I went outside and took a shoe, came back.
I'm glad that ended.
I got on top of the bed and I could see it move, and I was like, hand up in the air, do I hit it? Can I not? Oh, and then it started running and I thought, fuck it, and I threw the shoe because I couldn't actually I couldn't even
and did it catch it and throw it back?
So the shoe scraped it off the curtain and it fell on my bed. And then it's running around on my bed frantically because it's obviously just had something thrown at it, so it's no longer calm. So I had to pick up the shoe again and then literally like chase it on the bed and crush it and like actually like squidge it in. So I have this huge stain the size of an egg on my bed from where this thing died. It was quite disgusting.
It's been taped off.
With chalk.
Yeah. So that is definitely one of the scariest moments I can remember of current time. Claire?
I have two, and I'm not sure which one I should say. One is from when I was about 8 years old, and the other one was from about 6 months ago.
8 years old.
Let's go with nostalgia.
Yeah.
Go with 8 years old? Okay.
Definitely.
So my dad is a builder, and he was doing some building work, and we were renovating in the roof, and Mum and Dad had gone out for the night, and we had my grandma who was babysitting us, and then my brother and I were at the time were sharing a room because we were only 8 and 5, and the bedroom was quite long, and it sort of came around in an L shape, and you had to walk past this hallway which had a cupboard, like a hallway door in it, which would go through to the lounge. And it was quite a windy night, and I'd gotten up to go to the loo, and as I walked past, the wind gust must have come in, and it gone through the roof, and it came down, and then the door just shot open, and as I was walking past, I was like, ah! And I went back to bed because this door just shot open, so it was creepy.
Oh my God, that is actually quite frightening for an 8-year-old as well.
That would be frightening from 25-year-old me.
Yeah, you screamed and ran. I would have just stood still and shat on the spot, literally. As you do. Usma.
I was really young. I want to point that out. And we were in a theme park, like Thought Park.
This was only a year ago.
It wasn't. It was not a year ago. We were at a Thought Park type theme park in Spain, and we somehow ended up in one of those we thought it was a ride, but you enter this room and it's like a play type thing, and it's all in Spanish. None of us know Spanish. We got literally sardines squashed into this room. The lights went off, and then it felt like people were whipping our legs. I swear to God, the way they did the wind machine, or whatever the hell it was, we were screaming and jumping because it felt like we were getting whipped on our feet. It was freaking terrifying, really bad. And then the lights come on. Yeah, that was what it was. The lights come on, and then this. There was an Indiana Jones looking guy. He started talking and saying things, and then I remember thinking, I can hear rats. The lights went off, and then all you hear is rats, and then
my God.
It feels like something's on your feet, And once again, everyone's just screaming. And by that point, bear in mind, I needed to really pee. We were in this queue to get into this stupid bloody play thing for like an hour. And then we got put into this other room. And I was like, trying to tell the security guard, I don't want to do this. Like, let me out. I went all the way to the end where the door is. And I keep going, let me out. And he's like, no, you're not allowed to go out. And I'm like, no, I need to get out. He refused to let me out. And then the lights went off. And we're like by this barrier and there's water in front of us. We're like in a new room. And I'm like, okay, feet, something's going to touch my feet. It's fine, it's fine, it's fine. Next thing I know, these fucking skeletons jump up from the water. And I'm right at the front of the barrier. It's in my face. I screamed and pissed myself. That was it. That was literally, I was gone.
Did you blame it on the water from the skeletons?
Yeah. I was wearing white trousers as well, which probably wasn't the best thing. Then me and my friends went on a water ride, just so we could like get...
Oh, that's
could get
washed.
Yeah.
Ideal.
Yeah.
Good time.
Was it some kind of movie experience?
Yeah.
Like
With
a
Indiana
4D,
Jones?
5D
It's like an
thing.
Indiana Jones experience.
Normally you're seated though.
No. You're
that was.
in different rooms at different stages with lights going out and being whipped. That's all I know.
Some people pay good money for that.
Well, I did not want to pay good money for that.
Junaid.
Most terrified moment. Okay, I think I'm going to go for a nostalgic one as well. So when I was young, I got often roped into doing a lot of plays, which was quite annoying. So when I was in primary school, I learned how to play the steel pan drums, which was great, until I forgot how to play them. And then we had to basically give a concert music thing with all the steel pan drums at Fairfield Halls in Croydon, which, if you know, seats like what feels like 1,000 people. So at the end of the year, we had to do basically the show, and I forgot how to do everything because it was like months and months towards the end. And I just had terrible stage fright. And that's it. That's the most scariest thing I could think of.
I thought you were leading up to something.
Yeah.
No, nothing really embarrassing happened.
That's a bit shit.
I haven't really had any outrageous kind of terrified
your
moments.
pants?
No.
We're gonna have
Oh
to
no!
make...
Wait, once I did pee my pants,
Oh, that's the story.
but it's not because I was scared.
Oh.
You
It's
just
because I
needed
couldn't
to pee.
Find the toilet.
I couldn't undo my belt. And I was quite a fat kid.
When was this?
I was like 6.
Okay.
I was quite a chubby kid.
16.
And we were like an after school class with my brother and my cousin, and that was quite terrifying, I guess. I couldn't undo it, and I was asking them, I was pleading them, basically begging them to help me, and they wouldn't because they were older than me and they didn't care. So I wet myself, and then they found it hilarious and said, okay, we'll go and get you like some tissue because there's no tissue left in the toilets. And then they left and came back an hour later.
You sat in the toilet for
I
an
waited in
hour.
the toilet for an hour. They came back with sweets and a small packet of Kleenex. And then we had to explain it to my parents when we got picked up why I was in the state I was, and they just found it hilarious.
Yeah, nice.
But it wasn't. Yeah. I didn't even need to say that story because it wasn't terrifying. Just embarrassed myself for I suppose this is the most terrifying moment. Knowing it's going to be out of public.
You are currently the most terrified you've ever been.
Don't judge me.
Luca.
So, I couldn't really think of many terrifying moments, but when I was 16, with one of my neighbours, we have a house and then there is like hills and a forest behind. And it was like the moment when you like sort of become more independent and you want to do more stuff, so that we were like, oh, you know what, we're going to get a tent and we're going to sleep outside.
Oh my god.
Like basically next to the house. But like, so we mount the tent, we sleep outside, and then we're like, you know what, this is too close to the house. It's not as fun. So then we basically take the tent that is like mounted and we just walk in the forest, like taking the tent at the four corners. And then we walk like, I think a good 10 minutes until we find another like clear spot in this sort of forest. And then we chat a little bit, we've got lights, and then we're like, okay, cool, now we're ready to go to bed. We start going to bed, and then of course like you're in the middle of the forest and you hear every possible sound, and you're like, Jesus Christ.
Forests are noisy.
Yeah, but like I think you never realize until like it's completely dark and silent. And then I think at one point we were falling. I think my friend fell asleep, and I was still there, like just filling my thumbs. And then I hear like, like I don't know what they're called. It's like big pigs, like between a pig and a
Where were you?
a wild pig.
Yeah, boar.
Oh god.
Where were you?
just behind my, like in Italy.
Okay.
It's like, where in London? Is there a
In
place?
the UK.
But I mean, they were both. We knew that they were, but we're like, it's fine. And so I was like, and then I wake him up and I was like, what the fuck do we do? Because like we can't get out, so we just like stand still, looking at each other for like 15 minutes, and then we're like, oh, maybe if we make noise. So then, well, no, it makes sense because then they get scared.
Yeah.
So we didn't have much, so we took like a light, and then like I think we had, I don't know, like the keys, and then we just clashed them together. And then we had
I was expecting
I don't
you to
know, we
say
didn't
we
make
both
no
got up
noises.
and went.
no, we didn't think of that. And then
They
as
were
soon
too
as we
much in
sort of
panic.
heard it going away, we literally just like got out of the tent and then just like walked.
Carried the tent.
Yeah, imagine carry the tent walking down the hill with this like tent. And then we have like a sort of like a lounge, I would say, which is like in the house, but it's shared by everyone. We just slept in this lounge in a tent.
Oh, in the tent as well
They
as the
were
lounge.
in the house.
So all
Nah.
I'm
Little
imagining with you coming back down the hill with your tent is
Yeah. Absolutely. But in complete darkness. I think we also fell a couple of times.
with a pig chasing you.
I feel like the pig would be
think,
chasing
yeah.
you, then you go to another snapshot, they're chasing the pig, and then the tent's
Oh
chasing
my god,
you.
yeah. Or it would be so much funny if it was
Oh
like
my
a small
God.
animal, like a little duck. Like, and we were running, and then there was like the duck behind us.
So you successfully scared a little pig? Or a
I
big
don't
pig?
think-
A boar?
Well, I don't know, yeah.
Oh, well, they got scared of it rather
Yeah.
than it got scared of them, probably. It probably was staring at your
And
tent.
got thought,
Yeah.
what the hell?
What the hell are those two doing? And
Strange
then thought,
humans.
oh, weird people, and walked
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
Why is there a tent on my truffles?
Oh, dear. Anyway, thank you all for sharing your scary moments. Okay, so we're going to swiftly move on to our flushed episode. So, who should we start with? Who wants to go first?
So my pet peeve, which has been growing a lot more recently over the last couple of months, is really late parties after midnight, which I don't mind.
House parties.
Yeah, house parties. So I don't mind. I think house parties are great. Been to a fair share. But I think they should be taken inside at some point or another. But it's also the choice of music, I think.
Do you have some annoying neighbours by any chance, Junaid?
Yeah, I do.
Don't we live around the corner from you?
I can hear Clara. I'm joking. No, so it's like just like inaudible music.
Yeah.
And like it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like
Yeah.
every weekend.
I don't like it when two different neighbours play two different musics at the same time. That just makes it worse. You're like confused. You know, you can hear all this. It just sounds like noise, basically. You can just hear a lot of noise. So, yeah, I can get how that would be quite annoying. So, and I guess you've been trying to go to work and trying to get to sleep.
And everything.
And is
But
this all during the week, or is it?
it is during the week, and it's until like 4 o'clock in the morning. It's
I mean,
not.
it's weird that
Yeah.
they have parties at 4 a.m. during the week.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe on the weekend.
maybe
but-
because it's summer holidays. I don't know.
But how old are they?
I don't know. I don't know. I
guess
just
they're
assumed they were
students.
young. I just assumed they
Yeah.
were students.
It must be students.
But it doesn't sound as annoying, but it's really frustrating.
No,
when it's like down.
I can
and
sympathise
the
with
thing
you.
is, I live between two roads. It's really weird to explain. It's like a close.
Yeah.
So I don't know who my back neighbours are. Like, it's very difficult to identify. There's lots of trees and stuff. So it's like you're sharing all that space and sound with like 100 other people.
Yeah.
And it's just really bizarre because you can't even pinpoint where the sound is.
Yeah. I mean, during the week parties, especially until 4, I think are quite inconsiderate.
Oh,
really.
and they have a microphone and they make out announcements.
They make
They
announcements.
make announcements.
What?
But it's not in English.
What kind of weird party is this?
It's not in English, so I can't tell. But yeah. they make announcements. So it's like they've gone through effort to set this party up
weird.
Yeah.
and leave it
Multiple
out
times.
multiple times.
It's weird.
Multiple
who
times.
gives
Announcements.
Yeah, they make announcements.
Hello,
Like there's
I'd
somebody
like to
on the
thank
speech.
all my guests for joining me at my party this evening. I hope
but in,
you're
like-
enjoying the punch. Now, here's more music.
Yeah.
It's almost like they have an agenda. Or do they?
Yeah, I think they do.
I can sympathise with you because when way before we had kids, we used to live over in Battersea, and we lived in a terraced 2-bedroom terrace place. We had neighbours above us, and they were horrific. They were always doing that. They were always partying, and there's a few things you should never mess with, and that is people's money, their food, and their sleep.
Yeah.
You start
Totally agree.
messing with those
Yeah.
things, especially the sleep. People get so cranky, and I think I'd had enough, and I lost my shit with them one night. And they were it was the girl, and she was having a hen party, and it had just gone on and on and on, and it was Spice Girls over and over and over and over and over.
Did
Now,
you know
I
your
don't-
neighbor? Did you know who they were?
Yeah.
Okay, so
We
it's
knew who they
easier.
were, yeah. So I went and knocked on the door, and she came down, and I was like, you need to turn the music off. And they're like, well, it's a hen party. And I just looked at her and I went, I don't give a motherfucker who's hen party. Turn that shit off now. And then Gerald heard me, and he got up and he calmed the situation down. But I lost it big time, because don't mess with people's sleep.
So imagine you said music, sleep, and
Money.
food.
Food, money,
Food,
and sleep.
that's the one. So imagine I was a broke student who wasn't eating enough.
Yeah.
And now I had no sleep.
Yeah, it's bad.
So I did the bad deed and called the
Noise control.
noise control, waited for 45 minutes, fell asleep by the end of it. And then they said, yeah, okay, there's multiple reports, we'll get to it. And I was like, yeah, but
I think
I
it's
felt like a
between
25-year-old
between
old man.
between 11 and 7. If it's lots of noise, that's when you are legitimately allowed to
Yeah.
report noise.
Yeah, I mean, we had some people living next to us a couple of years back, and they had a couple of crazy parties. But one party in particular, you know, I could hear all these people out on the street as well, screaming and shouting, you know, at the front of the house and just like all up the road. Like, I don't know, being really crazy at 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's not cool.
And I waited till about 4:30, and it continued, and I could see and hear more and more of these people outside as well. So I called the police. And I basically
You tell
said,
them.
there's a whole bunch of people outside the front of the house. They're smoking weed and taking drugs and screaming. I didn't know if they were smoking weed and taking drugs. And screaming, and it's 4:30 in the morning, and I've got a 6-month-old baby, and, you know, and a couple of doors next to me is more neighbours of ours that have, like, little kids. We can't sleep, and we feel too threatened to go outside and tell them to stop, which was also true. Like, normally I would have just gone and knocked on the door, but I wasn't going to go out there with like 40
No
people in the
way.
front of the house, all drunk at 4 a.m. and say, turn the music down. So that part was true, but I didn't have a 6-month-old baby, and
No,
you know,
but it
and I'm not
helps
sure
work,
if they were taking drugs or
it's
not. But
it's a weird situation because we would come across as the odd ones because you're ruining somebody else's fun. But the thing is, if you're going to have a party all night, there are places designated for it, and they're called clubs. So why have it in your garden?
well, also, I think that I don't think that we are wrong. I mean, I've had parties when I was young. You know, we had loads of parties, loads of house parties too. But we would always do it on a weekend, and we wouldn't do it regularly. Like it would be, you know, once a year or twice a year kind of thing. And normally we would let people know. So we used to write notes and post them in all our neighbours' doors. Because at the end of the year, you know, after your finals, everyone wants to have a party. And we had quite a big house with a big garden. So we threw a couple of parties. And a couple of the guys that were in the snowboarding society, they threw lots of parties for end of, you know, year or for after exams or after like big deadlines. But every time we would post these little notes and even knock on people's doors if we knew that they were particularly grumpy. Because after a while, you know your neighbours, right? So you know the guy who's like the old guy who's always grumpy about everything. And just sort of say, look, we're going to have a party on Friday night or Saturday night. We're so sorry for the noise, you know. We won't make noise past 2 or 3 in the morning. But apologies in advance. Not once did anyone ever come and knock on the door. And we would make sure that people who came to the party were in the garden or in the house. I don't remember
Yeah,
like
going out
40
to the
Being at the
people
front.
yeah, lingering around outside the front of my house, like screaming and shouting down
Yeah.
the road. You know, that's not, you know, as soon as they left the front door, people would be like, shh, let's go. You know,
I
because
think
it's like
It's
4
just
o'clock in the
courtesy,
morning.
though, isn't
yeah,
it? It's having the
The
Yeah.
neighbours now is the small things that just goes a long way.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Midweek parties like that.
Yeah,
I'm
and
there
never,
with you.
never during the week. Like, why would you ever have a party?
But
during the week?
even if it were on the weekend, I think it changes less.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you can give people a little bit more leeway
Yeah,
on the weekend.
definitely.
I
But
do
the
think that they should
consistency.
control their guests, though. Like I said, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have let people scream outside. I would have told them off, like, what
Yeah.
the hell, you're
But
disturbing
that's the thing.
my
The thing that
neighbours.
is slightly stressful when you host parties, because then you're like, oh, my neighbours, this is too loud, or this and that.
But again, like Junaid
But-
said, you know, if it's stressful, then tell your friends meet at the pub or meet
Yeah.
at the club, and then do whatever you want.
Well,
until-
we have parties at home, but we usually start them about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So by the time it gets to 10, everyone's ready to go home anyway. So it doesn't matter.
Or just invite less people.
But I think it's also an age thing. Like, I mean, my friends in Italy, you don't start going out before 10 or 11. It's just
Yeah.
a thing.
yeah.
It's because before you have dinner, and then you go out drinking, and it's just, I think, I don't know, it's just a different
Yeah. Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
I
my
mean,
parents
lots
would.
of like Italy, Spain is the same. You
Yeah.
know, in France, they're the same. They eat much later. They go out much later. You know, everything happens much later than it
Yeah.
does here. But I mean, but in Italy, that's normal, right? Because all Italian people are like that. So
Yeah.
it's not like the guy next door is going to be like, "Why are they going out at 11
Yeah,
o'clock?"
for
Like he's
example-
expecting that.
Yeah, because we live in this house and then we all know our neighbours and we sort of grew up all together, then I think there was a point where someone had a party that was her 18th, or it was kind of a big deal, and then it was just insane.
Yeah.
And it was like in this sort of communal lounge. So there were people inside, there were people outside, there were people screaming, there were people puking everywhere.
Oh my
And
god.
then
great.
my room is right next door, like next to this
Yeah.
lounge, and then one of the neighbors is right above. I mean, I was maybe 16 at the time, so I could just fall asleep like that.
Yeah.
But then after that, there was like a sort of like an apartment meeting, and they were like, okay, when we have parties, after 1, that's it. You can stay, but no more music and no more chatting outside.
Yeah.
And then after that, it was
We
quite decent.
we went to see some friends up north, and we were staying at a local pub or hotel-y place around the corner, and we'd been at their place for a few drinks, and we got in a cab, and it was quite late, and we went home, and we'd booked this family room at this place where we were staying, and it was above a bloody nightclub. It's like, you built this as a family room, and it's above a nightclub, and all you could hear was doof, doof, doof
yeah.
through the
Oh
floorboards.
my god.
And as soon as we walked in and they sort of escorted us to our room, you could see their faces went, oh shit, this is not good.
Oh my god, that's a bit weird,
terrible
isn't it?
smell.
Okay, moving on. Luca.
Uh-huh. So, my biggest pet peeve is like when people eat with their mouth open.
So I don't like it when people eat noisily.
Yeah,
When they
yeah,
eat
yeah.
at the front of their mouth. You don't like it when people eat with their mouths open. That is
Well, I think
equally as
it's just
disgusting.
like loud chewing, whatever. Like
It's
if
not
it's
necessary.
yeah, absolutely not necessary. And it's the sort of thing that when you pick it up, then you can't, like if you're in a
You can't
cinema
unhear it.
and
You
then you've
like
got
hear it all the
you've got
time.
someone behind you going on.
Yeah, that's really annoying.
Then that for the
It's
whole
gross.
movie you'll
That's
hear
fully
that.
gross, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I feel like it would just be torture if I have to sit next to someone for like 3 hours and
Oh,
just hear
yeah.
them.
I've
you
told
imagine-
people. I've told people before.
Can you imagine being on this aeroplane, stuck next to someone
So only
like
in
that?
peanuts.
Yeah,
Eating
exactly.
nuts like through the
Yeah.
whole journey. On your
Yeah.
way to New Zealand, where it's like 28 hours to get there.
Yeah, that sort of thing that you're like, you can't
Oh my
escape,
God,
and you're
that
like,
would be
I would
a
go
nightmare of
insane.
hell.
Yeah, and I think the problem is sometimes it's just they've never been educated. So even if you tell them, it's just
They don't
They
even
don't know
know they're
how
doing
not to.
it.
Yeah, I don't think it's even education. I think it's just.
It's laziness.
I think it's just. Yeah, bad parenting.
yeah,
Because your mother just tells you eat with your mouth closed.
Learn table manners. You
Simple.
have to
Yeah.
learn table manners correctly. I tell the boys, you need to learn to have nice table manners because when you take the ladies out for some dinners later on when you're older, You need to be a gentleman and have nice table manners because they're going to get
Absolutely.
grossed out by you
Yeah.
big time.
That is quite nice.
My mum always said, you never know who you're going to go out with dinner. If
Yeah.
it's someone that is like upper class, you need,
You
like,
have
you
to have good
can't be a
table
monkey
manners.
on
Yeah.
the table. So it's like,
I
Mentally
agree with your mum.
dancing on a table.
yeah. But, and I think even like just slurp, like when you drink.
Oh my
Slurping
God.
drinks. Yeah,
See,
there's
but
no
I feel
need
like
to
that
do
for me
that.
is less.
2 in 1.
No, there's no need to do that. There's nothing left. Stop sucking the straw.
Yeah.
Go put some more liquid in your cup, but there's nothing left, so you need to stop.
People
Oh, how
slap
about
without straws.
soup? Yeah,
Oh,
soup
yeah.
God.
drinkers.
But I think that's, for me, is less annoying than chewing.
I mean, it's
out.
like you're an adult. Don't you know where your lips start and where the liquid ends? You know, like it's not
Yeah,
hard to
and it
gauge.
goes like,
Yeah, it's just put your lips in it, like drink
Yeah.
correctly.
Drink correctly.
It's a warning.
In some cultures, though, it's really normal.
I couldn't live there then.
I think is it China, but it's like it's
Yeah.
actually in some countries. Is it not meant to be a sign of your appreciation
Isn't that
Yeah.
burping?
of the food
I say
if
Japan,
you like
but-
are eating noisily?
Oh
and-
God.
oh, yeah,
you
like
know.
ramen. That's
Yeah,
a thing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like
I couldn't
You
live
know,
there.
they pick up the bowl, like the
They,
soup
like,
bowl, and they
slurp it.
like
Oh,
put it
yeah.
up like as if it's a cup, and then they slurp it out. And I'm pretty sure that that's supposed to be like something you are meant to do. Otherwise, it's rude if you don't
Yeah,
don't
because
do
it's so
it.
yummy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, ramens are difficult to eat as it is.
I
You don't need
couldn't
to
live
add.
there.
But then I think at the same
Stress.
time, you're able to drink a ramen without making a noise.
Yeah,
Like it's not that it's something that you can't do.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think?
Going with Junaid's noisy parties, inconsiderate, dancey parties.
Neighbours.
Such a good one.
So there you go, Junaid. Well done. Your parties are going down the drain very slowly. And Luca, unfortunately. So winner goes first. Junaid, what's your second pet peeve?
This one applies in different places. It's people putting pressure on the back of your seat in any situation. So this can be on a train, public transport, or mostly for me is the cinema. I think I've had multiple experiences where I've had to get up in the middle of a film and say, "Could you bloody stop it?"
Yeah.
You know, and half the time they fail to acknowledge that they're doing anything, and I'm just baffled. I'm like, can you not feel your leg?
Yeah.
Like, can you not feel your limbs? For me, that's a big one.
Yeah.
And it can ruin any experience,
Yeah.
regardless what it is.
I feel like you're my pet peeve spirit child.
Yeah. Probably. Cyclist was the other option.
That was an easy win.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I had actually an aeroplane journey like that where I almost got up and had a physical altercation with a guy sitting behind me. So I was on a Turkish Airlines flight from Dubai to Turkey, or the other way around. I can't remember. Maybe Turkey to Dubai. And there were these two Turkish guys sitting behind me. And because I, generally prefer to speak English, I was speaking in English, and I guess they didn't realise I was Turkish. So they were
That's
talking.
the best thing, though,
they
when
were
you
talking.
like when you speak
yeah.
in English, just be like, I want to know what you're saying.
They were being rude and talking obnoxiously, and then on top of that, I pushed my chair back, and I'm normally quite conscious on these planes. Like I will not push my chair all the way back
Yeah.
unless I'm sure that it's okay for me to do so. So I will look, and if the guy behind me has gone all the way back and is lying down, then I'll happily push it back too.
Yeah.
But
Then the trick is doing
if
like
they're
millimeter
not,
by millimeter.
yeah, if they're not,
Then-
I just do it like halfway or something like that.
Just
So
consideration.
so I pushed my seat back a little bit. And I heard him say to his mate in Turkish, like, what a bitch, right? Now she's taken up all the space. And I thought, okay. So I actually pulled it back a little bit, right?
Oh, it's not
And
nice of you.
he was like, why can't she just put her chair up? He started complaining. Instead of just tapping me on the shoulder and saying, look, excuse me, I'm a bit uncomfortable. And then we could have had a discussion about it. I still wouldn't have, put my chair all the way up.
Yeah.
But we could have like at least, amicably had a discussion about it. He then decided that he was going to kick my chair repeatedly
Until
in some sort of hope that would like
Aggravate.
I don't know, no, but make me pull my chair up. I'm not talking kick it like as if oops, accidentally I've kicked it. I'm talking like as if a 5-year-old is sitting behind you, like fully blown, feet up,
Violent.
like this,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
And I was like, what the hell, right? And the guy sitting next to me, because he could see my chair going like this, looked at me, and he was very, very tall, the guy next to me, and he just kind of turned his head around to see what was going on, and he could see this guy like doing crazy things, and then he looked at me, like, he looked behind me, he looked at me, and then he kind of went, they're a bit weird, right? And I was like, they're actually making me quite angry. And he said, I'll call the air stewardess for you. So he pressed his button and the air stewardess came, and I said, these gentlemen behind me are kicking my chair. Could you please tell them to stop doing that? So she leant over and said to them in Turkish, you're disturbing the lady in front of you. So he said, she's put her chair back. And the lady was like, well, if you put your chair back too, the gap will be equal. Like you will then have more space. She's not put her chair all the way back, so there is like a bit of room. And I'm sorry, but this is just the size of the aeroplane that you're in.
That's how it
basically,
works.
there's not much we can do.
You can always charter your own flight.
Exactly.
Or pay for first class.
But the way he was saying it, like he was clearly from like what we call up in the village, like very like he doesn't even refer to people as like lady or even girl. I'm talking like refers to you with something that implies you're some sort of prostitute.
Okay.
Right? That kind of very like
Low life.
yeah, scummy language. And even the air stewardess, you could tell, was a bit like, who are these weird people? Just from the way they were talking. Anyway, she leaves. 5 minutes go past and he starts doing the same thing again. I totally lost it. It was like one of those moments I have on the tube, but worse, because we were in a contained vehicle.
Yeah. There is
Right?
no escape.
Imagine on the tube.
You're in a flying cab.
Exactly. In a tube, like a few minutes and you can get off. In this thing, you can't get off. And it's a flight to Dubai, so it's like 5 hours flight or something from Turkey. I totally went ballistic. So I stood up, I turned around, I actually put my knees on my seat. So like I was high, high, turned around, half stood on my seat, looked at him, put my finger in his face, and in Turkish, I was like, you fucking scumbag.
Oh my God.
Like, stop kicking my chair. And then all kinds of profanities came out of my mouth in Turkish. I told him he was rude, he was obnoxious, he came from the village, he didn't know how to sit, he didn't know how to talk. Yeah, just went off on one. These two guys, not a single peep, just both staring at me. And the tall, gigantic basketball player dude next to me had to pull me back. So it must have been the funniest looking thing, because there's me, like little old me, screaming my head off, like at full blast, all kinds of rude words to these two guys who look terrified at this stage.
Good.
Being yanked off by, essentially a giant who's trying to control me. And then the air hostess came over and she was just kind of like, look, you need to sit down, and it'll be fine. Like, she was just trying to calm everyone. And I said, I've had enough. I'm not sitting here. Turkish Airlines is just a piece of shit. You shouldn't even let people like this on an aeroplane. They don't even know how to fly. I just kind of, I was just ranting. And then she said, come with me.
No.
And guess where I ended up?
Never happened to me. Oh, I always
So
wish.
she said, come with me, please. And she gave me the first class seat. And then afterwards, she brought my bags and everything over. And she was like, I'm so sorry. I know they're a bit strange, but, whatever. It'll be fine now. You're here. You'll enjoy yourself. And there was lots of other
shit,
empty
you're enjoying
seats.
yourself.
There was lots of other empty seats. So I said to her, the guy who was sitting next to me, he's extremely tall. Since there are so many empty seats, could you do me another favour? And
That's
she
nice.
was just
Look
kind
at
of
you.
like, okay, I'll do it, but I'll have to do it like secretly. So I think she went up to them and said, your wife is waiting for you at the front.
Oh, that's perfect.
Well played.
Yeah.
So he came over and he was like, "Thank you so much." Yeah, because this dude was literally like a basketball. I mean, he was sitting and he
was kissing his knees.
Yeah, and his legs were like on my side, but he was not like the guys behind. He actually said, "Look, I'm so sorry. I can't
Physically can't
fit.
move.
Yeah.
Like I have to open my legs
Yeah.
like this because I can't fit."
When Gerald and I were flying back to New Zealand, we were going via China. And Gerald, my husband, is quite tall. He's about 6'2", and we'd got to Shanghai and we were checking back in to go back onto the plane again. And the lady looked at us and she looked at him and she looked at our seats and she went, "No, too big." And we're like, "What?" And she just looked at him. She went, "You're too big." And she gave us our seats back, and we looked and we're like, "Oh, we've been moved. What?" She gave us 3 seats to ourselves.
Oh, that's nice.
So from her very rude, "No, too big," she gave us 3 seats.
I've had a similar experience to yours actually, and I think I mentioned this recently, but it was almost the opposite in every situation. Like the guy was behind me, he wasn't kicking, but he was like pushing the chair slowly, and I wanted to be as nice as possible because he was with his family. So his parents were to my left, and he was sat behind me, and I think his children were in front of me or something or another. And we're like 3rd row from the front, so I can't even get upgraded. Like there's no first class on a Ryanair flight. And long story short, essentially, like the guy was complaining about me after I asked him in the most polite way, "Is there something in the back of my chair? If so, do you think you could move it to another one?" Because he's like stuffing every single thing that would ever belong to him in the back of my seat. And I can feel it. It's not like
It's
it's
definitely
Yeah.
because Ryanair.
yeah, no, sorry, it's EasyJet because
Yeah.
Ryanair's got plastic backing.
Yeah.
EasyJet doesn't. And then after that, he just decided to make my life hell and somehow communicated to his dad, who sat on my left, who's like probably in his 70s, by the way, to take up all the arm room and to spread his legs. So I'm kind of getting cornered in within this family. And then I kind of get wind to my brothers, like, this is a really uncomfortable situation. Can't wait for this flight to be over. And then it just boils over. And we had a similar thing where it all went into big hoo-ha. Air hostess comes over. And it's just the worst situation to be in.
Yeah.
If he behaved amicable from the very beginning,
Yeah.
or like an adult, like his age.
Some people are
It could have
just
been avoided.
rude, though, right?
But
They're, like, really
the funny
crazy.
thing is, his wife played both the race card and the fact that she had a child. She had like a newborn, maybe like 6 months to a year, saying these boys are like challenging my husband, and this boy in front of us is causing problems. And I'm like, I'm sat in front of your husband. How can anyone sat in front possibly cause you grief? Like on a plane, it makes no sense. Like,
Yeah.
not really.
Yeah.
Saying that,
And then she was like, "Oh, and I've got a child," this, that, and the other. And everybody on the plane just looked at her like, "You're an absolute dimwit."
see, I had a horrible journey when we were coming back from India. I don't know if you remember.
No, absolutely not.
I was sat on an aisle seat, but the guy in front of me pushed his chair all the way back, which is fine, you know, you can do it, it's a long journey. But the guy behind me was extremely big, and I knew I couldn't not push that chair back. I just knew that
Yeah.
I would make that guy's life a living hell. So I tapped the guy in front of me, and I was like, "Can you push your chair forward a little bit?" You know, and it's so small that the chair is literally at my face.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
needed to be pushed forward. And he said something, like, kind of had a go at me, but then he pushed it forward a little bit. 5 minutes later, he pushed it back again. So I tapped him again. We had the same thing again. And I knew that he didn't know Turkish, so I asked the air hostess to,
Yeah.
like, push it, like, ask him to push it forward. The air hostess asked. The guy pushed his chair forward, like, completely.
Yeah.
Literally 2 seconds after the air hostess left, he pushed it back again. I started getting really frustrated and really claustrophobic.
Yeah.
So I just got up. And I went to the air hostess. I was like, "I can't do this. Can you please tell them?" At that point, the air seatbelt sign came on. So I had to go back to my seat. And he said, "After it's over, I will come back to you. He'll have to push his chair forward anyway." This idiot did not push his chair forward. We're like shaking about.
Yeah.
And my head is like 5 centimetres away from his chair. So I did the dickhead move of pushing the chair forward because I was like, I'm going to hit my head and I do not want to do this. So I kept like actually pushing his chair forward because I had enough. In the end, the air hostess did say, "Do you want to move seats?" But our friend that was with us refused to let me move. So instead I put her in that seat and I sat in her seat.
That's a good
But-
alternative. But I don't remember any of that. Was I in a different seat?
You were sat on the other side, so
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
You were like in front of us. That might be
Oh.
why you didn't know.
Yeah, I think.
It was
Sorry.
like living hell, and
Yeah.
I was behind him.
But
So
this is
you can make
Yeah, but
someone's life hell by sitting in front of them as well.
My chair couldn't recline.
Yeah, no,
I
Like,
exactly.
it
think
wasn't
the
reclining.
thing is, like,
That's the
I
only thing
think
you can
all
do.
the chairs recline. Everyone has this issue, whether you're on the chair that you want to sleep or whether you're on the chair behind where someone's like head is in your face. But we can all be kind of a little bit understanding of
Yeah.
each other. Like, that's the point, is if someone's sort of like, excuse me, I'm a bit uncomfortable, you as the person lying down can move your chair forward, which I was more than prepared to do in my case. But I just think it's like a mutual thing. Like, you
Yeah.
have to kind of
Yeah.
like, it's a bit of give and take. And that's when it's one-sided is when it kind of goes a bit wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's like when you're in any sort of public transport and you're like, you just need to understand that
Yeah.
everyone in a similar situation.
Exactly. Okay. Luca, go.
So one of my pet peeve was stag do's in flights, but I feel like we talked about at length about flight problems, so I'm going to switch it to people not washing their hands after they come out of the toilet.
Oh,
Yeah,
And it's
that's-
like, so as a concept, annoying. Like, not washing your hands after you pee, gross. But, I don't know, if you're home, and I don't know, sort of do whatever you want with your life. But if I'm next to you, and you pee,
The thing is, even if you're
Like-
at home,
yeah, I
always
mean,
have to wash
100%
your
gross.
hands.
But in that case, no one knows, so ignorance is bliss, and I don't know that you don't wash your hands after you pee. But if I'm like in a toilet, and then you pee, come out, and then just walk out of the toilet, I'm like, and then it's like in a situation like a theatre or a cinema, I'm like, I know who you are, and I can see you, and that's even more gross.
and
because
you're
like,
not
Yeah.
sharing my fucking popcorn.
I mean, someone that you're with. Someone that
No,
you're
no, no, no,
with.
no. Oh,
Okay, because that's disgusting.
that would be like,
I would just say
no more
straight.
friends anymore.
Go wash your hands.
Yeah, but no, it's more like, yeah, in a situation where it's like, do you not feel ashamed that I'm seeing you not washing your hands?
Yeah.
The worst thing is these are the same people that take public transport and hold all the bars.
All of them.
We like
one by
all
one.
of their body. They're doing, like, the
Lean
ball
on
dancing.
them.
Oh yeah,
They don't
that's
put deodorant on in summer.
But I think leaning on bars is something that I've noticed recently. When like someone will lean on, and it's like that is probably a man, a white man, men spreading on a pole. But,
I hate the pole leaning thing. I don't
Yeah.
like that.
yeah,
Just take up all the pole
The pole is
space.
not for one person, it is for several people.
Yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we've spoken about this.
Yeah,
We
we
have.
have.
Deja vu.
I will put my hand, if I will hold on to it, and if someone does that, I'd put my knuckles.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Oh
do
my god,
that.
I remember talking about
Because
that.
it's not
Yeah,
for
yeah.
one person, it's for,
That
it's
is
for
such a
multiple
good
people.
idea.
There was a guy
Yeah.
doing that today, actually. And he was a white gentleman in
Yeah,
a
of
suit.
course.
Luca.
I
Right.
I just make sure that everyone knows of their embarrassment by going, "Excuse me."
Oh my god, why don't you do that when people come out of the toilet?
yellow shirt.
I
You
just,
sir over there,
yeah.
the white man.
maybe you should just chase him and be like, "Sorry, you forgot to wash your hands."
Oh no, if he's on a date, then you should just quietly go over to the table and be like, you forgot to wash your hands.
Oh,
That'd be
yes.
brilliant. That'd be
Here, have
brilliant.
some hand sanitizer.
I mean, the thing is, I would not know, right? Because I would go to the girls' toilets.
Oh yeah, so I would.
So I wouldn't really know that. But yeah, I do think the hand washing thing is probably even worse for men.
I was
though.
about to say,
yeah, because
Yeah.
they're like
it's a little bit more gross
holding
for dudes.
certain parts of
Yeah.
their anatomy.
But I think-
so.
It's also maybe more of a men thing because I think if you go to a urinal, I don't know, it's like less of a
No,
I can't-
I've seen a lot of
woman.
women come out the toilet and go straight out, and I'm like, why? Why would you do that? That's just
I don't know.
Like,
in
why would
restaurants
you
especially when
not-
I'm like, you're gonna eat with
yeah.
your fucking hands.
Yeah, that's disgusting. I
Like,
wash
why
my
would
hands
you
when I go
not-
to a restaurant before I have my dinner.
Yeah, I mean that's okay. That's I think a thing that should be normal. You go to a restaurant and before your food gets there, you go
Wash
to the
your
toilet
hands.
and wash your hands. But I noticed that that's
I don't
not
do
as
that.
common.
No, I don't do
And
that.
the
do
reason
that.
that I don't do that
I'm
is
also-
actually a real reason to it. I don't do it
Yeah, I
because I was told that a little bit of germs is actually good for you. If you're overly cleaning your hands too much, you become not immune to basically anything.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just think, you know what?
think
Yes,
there's-
I've touched the pole, and yes,
there's
God
two
knows,
sides
so
to
many
that,
gross
though.
peoples. Yeah, but think of it this way: I'm not dead.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
but
nothing's actually
And
happened
you also,
to me.
and
If you can
Eve is also
prevent-
not going to be hand feeding you the food in
Yeah,
the restaurant.
exactly.
Yeah,
so
but
It's
I-
different if I was feeding a baby or, you know, putting my hands in someone's mouth or something. But since that's not happening, it doesn't
I
really
would
matter.
definitely do it if I'm going to eat with my hands.
Yeah, but how many? I don't really. Do
Pizza,
you really?
burgers,
Chips. Yeah.
Half the meals I have.
In a restaurant, though?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think
Yeah, maybe.
And it's just I'm conscious of all the things I've touched and all the places I've been.
See, I don't have that kind of OCD, though. To me, that's like a little bit OCD-ish.
But it's like other people have touched things.
yeah,
These are the
but-
same people that come out of bathrooms and not wash their
Yeah,
hands.
but you still need immunity to all these people and their shit that's everywhere. You
but
know, like.
I think you can have a natural immunity without having to purposefully keep their piss on your hands.
I didn't say I purposefully kept
No,
anyone's
like, I
piss
think
on my
I think
hands.
there's good reason to wash your hands before eating any meal.
would you eat nuts at the bar?
No, absolutely no way.
Oh yeah.
I'm not.
I can eat
at
stuff
the
off.
bar.
And
Well,
again,
so
there
it's
is a
fine.
reason for that because it's like too many hands, too many people's hands with
Isn't
too
there-
many different
I'm
germs.
pretty sure I saw a study once
Yeah.
where it said the amount of germs. That
But
they
it's not to the bar like it's just a bowl that anyone at the bar
Yeah.
can share.
But
Yeah.
there was
I've never
also
seen
a
that.
study like
I'll
that.
probably
If you
eat it
if you go
anyway.
to a public toilet, like at service stations and stuff, you're actually better off not flushing the toilet because there's more germs in the toilet flush
Oh yeah,
thing
yeah.
Yeah.
than anything else.
The-
Then
actually,
you can
the-
remove
No, it's
The-
the tap sink.
something like
Oh,
that. You
yeah,
shouldn't, you
Yeah,
shouldn't
it's
touch
the
anything.
sink
Germs.
tap that's
Yeah.
got the
But
most.
I mean, now
germs.
everything is automatic anyway.
Well, another funny fact about toilets, or fun fact, I don't know why I know something, is if there's cubicles, always go to the first one. Because
The
naturally,
cleanest.
yes, the cleanest,
Yeah.
because naturally people miss that one, thinking it's the dirtiest.
Yeah.
So when I lived in Sydney a gazillion years ago, I remember going out into King's Cross, which at the time was more of a red light district area, but it was kind of like a cool, funky place to go, a bit edgy. And I was out with my friends and we'd gone to this bar and it was a bit dodge. And I needed to go to the loo and I walked in and there were 4 cubicles. And I opened up the first one and there was literally just piss everywhere,
Oh my god.
all over it. I was like, how does this happen? So I opened up the second one and there was just vom everywhere. Someone had just like had a vom attack. So I
Goldilocks
went
in
to
the
the
best
third one
toilet.
and opened up the third one and there was literally poo smeared
Oh my
everywhere.
God.
And I was like, you know what?
Is it a
I'm
themed
not
toilet?
going to the fourth. I'm not going to the fourth one. And I turned around and I walked out and said, we have to go somewhere else.
What?
So I do not know
That's
what
like
was behind the fourth
weirdest-
door.
That's disgusting.
What
Weird.
about that
So
was the
gross.
cleanest one?
That
Yeah,
might be
so
the
gross.
the
cleanest.
only clean one, probably.
Or maybe it
Everybody
was
gave up by the
broken.
third toilet.
Yeah, it was disgusting.
That's
Literally, it was
freaky.
horrific.
I've seen pee on the floor.
Yeah,
I've-
but poo is a
I've
bit weird.
Smeared.
I-
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
It's
Like in female toilets, sometimes I've seen.
Poo?
No.
I've never seen poo on the
Worse.
toilet.
I've seen like female things left everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it's just like
Yeah.
the bin is there. Just. wrap it
Sometimes
up
that happens
and put it
though
in.
because the bins over. You can see the bins overflown and no one's
Just bad
cleaned
management.
it. And
I've seen it on the walls.
what?
Yeah.
Okay,
Like
Which
smeared
McDonald's
on
did
the
you
Like
walls.
go
stickers.
It's not McDonald's.
like stickers, like
What?
nappies stuck on the wall.
Yeah.
But I've got talking about still toilets and people not washing hands. At my work, there is people that don't flush or don't flush properly.
Yeah.
Oh, is it
So
a
they're
whole
like-
flush? Is it one of those like?
Well, in theory, you collect,
environmental-
you press, and then it flushes. But I think in some cases you have to hold it slightly longer
Yeah.
for it to flush properly. And like there has been emails multiple times of like
Oh my
people
God.
saying there is clients that of course will go in these
Yeah.
toilets. You need to make sure.
That's horrible.
And it's like, and I'm like, in some cases,
I'm not
The
quite
seat-
sure what she's laughing at. By the way, she's looking at me and laughing. What did I? Oh no!
shower poo.
Oh
Huh?
god!
The shower poo.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luca. We need to hear this one first.
wait, I've heard. Maybe
You
I've
might have
from
heard
my
it on a
story.
podcast.
You might have heard it on
Yeah,
a previous
yeah.
episode.
Oh my god, yeah.
Previously on Poopology.
I'm such a fan that I like. Not
Flashback.
new.
Poo in a shower tray.
Yeah, I still don't get that.
Yeah. But it's like
Wait,
when
is
the,
it as simple as it sounds?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's not much more science to it than that.
Wait, in the podcast, did you also say something like pushing it down with your big toe?
Oh!
No.
Did you not
No one
discuss
touched it.
No, but is it like
No.
an hypothetical? I don't know.
No.
Maybe it was another podcast around the thing. And someone said like poo and then pushed it down with their foot.
Why are you listening to other podcasts, Luca?
Especially poo-themed ones.
That's what disturbs me more.
Our competitors.
Maybe it's on podcast. Maybe you're interested in, and then there's loads of poop below it.
You might also like to listen to...
Poop in a shower.
So, Claire, what do you think? Oh, it's
I'm
a
really
hard
not...
one.
This is tricky. I think...
Kick in the chair.
Yeah.
People are not washing their hands.
Sorry.
You have a kick one.
Excuse me, Eve. I think, you know what? I'm edging towards...
It's fine. It's a good
I'm
one. It's a
edging
good one.
towards the... That would drive me insane. Like, it really would.
Yeah.
I think it has on multiple occasions for everyone
Yeah.
sat at this table and
Yeah.
everyone listening.
I think I'm going to have to go for the chair and the feet and the kicking and the...
I don't know, I can't resist toilet related things.
I know you can't.
As the voice of poopology, I feel like I would be, I don't
Letting the team down.
letting the side down if I didn't go with the toilet.
See, you've captured
the
the
washing
ethos.
the hands, the lack of washing the hands.
Yeah, please.
So this means that Uzma has the deciding vote.
Oh, and I feel that there might be a bit of bias going on here. So
Oh,
I think because of
See-
that, it'll go the other
Exactly,
way.
I'm
She's more
hoping.
inclined to go the
What even is
Uzma.
other way. An atomic bomb.
sounded like glass smashing or something.
Not that I have not had experiences in both, and not that I don't hate the chair issue. Only because, like I said, I've had, an experience, but I have seen way more people not washing their hands and leaving the toilet, and I really question those people a lot. So I'm gonna have to side with Luca, unfortunately.
So Luca.
Oh, what a lovely sound.
Well, it's really relevant.
I
Isn't it?
need, I need to go and wash my hands now.
You have to make someone wash their hands.
It's a shame we don't have a sink one. And unfortunately, Junaid. So now the table's turn, and it is our turn.
Mhm.
So I'm going to let you go first, Claire.
Okie doke. So this week, one of my pet peeves is people who suck up to management at work. Blatantly
yeah.
doing it in front of everyone. They literally have no shame. They're sitting there full on sucking up the whole time.
I mean,
Drives me
as
crazy.
management, I quite like it.
No, when it's that fake that you can see it, and you know
Like
that they're
proper
only
brown-nosing.
you know they're only doing it for their own personal gains. There's nothing here to do with anything. It's all just them being
Selfish.
an absolute twat and just proper brown nosing, and I really hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I hate twats in general. So,
Yeah.
It's
Just
isn't
that
it?
full on fake. Yeah, you're like, and then the worst part is if you're having a team meeting or a team discussion and perhaps the manager says something and that one person will go, oh my God, that is the best idea ever. We totally have to do that. And you're sitting there thinking, you're such a dick. Like, why are you doing this? So
Yeah.
it's all that
Ooh.
full on brown
Yeah.
nosing.
Anytime
Can't
we say
stand it.
licking the boss ass.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that the same
Yeah.
English?
Yes.
yeah.
ass
Yeah.
licking.
Yeah.
Ass licking.
Yeah.
There's
Can't
less words.
stand it.
Funny
Especially when
they
it's totally blatant.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
In any professional environment.
any
Any-
professional working environment. Yeah, it drives me crazy. I just think, oh,
I mean, of course, any. Like, when would it be okay to?
That is true.
Yeah.
I just imagine it's more annoying in some places than others.
Yeah, I think anywhere where there's a management line, it's a bit annoying. Of course, like I said, unless you're me, and then I'm perfectly fine.
Oh, here's your coffee. Come in, let your order memorised. That would be ideal.
These are the normal things Eves expects, by the way.
Yeah. Okay.
Brown nosing Eve is another level.
Oh, that's
You've
Yeah,
got
fine.
to
it's
take it
beyond
further.
that. Yeah, it's
Okay.
beyond that. You got to do some real shit.
You've got to stand there and
They
hold,
put the
hold
code
the
on the
tea.
paddle and be like, please.
hold the coffee up to my mouth.
Yeah.
And then dab your lips when you're finished. Sounds like
I mean,
a
do you not
servant.
remember when you used to have that fan and you used
big
to
palm
fan me?
leaf.
And a huge family. Yeah. And then
You-
No,
you
I
got
don't
that.
condone brown nosing. I never brown nosed you.
No. I can't stand it. I think it's awful.
Yeah, I agree.
That's one of mine.
Boils your blood.
Yeah.
I agree. Have you experienced this quite a lot recently?
I wonder.
Throughout my entire career.
What about friends?
Friends brown nosing.
Yeah, like in friend circles, you get people that kind of
You mean
brown
fake friends?
fake friends that
I
brown
love
nose,
those
friends,
brown nose the
yeah.
cool kids.
I think we're too old for that to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's
But
like
when you were younger,
elementary,
maybe.
middle
Well,
school.
No,
I don't know.
Eve's
I was
cool.
gonna say, I don't think you are.
Anyway, let's move on.
Can I ask why is it brown nosing?
Because-
Yes.
you're licking someone else and then
Yeah.
your nose
And then
becomes
your
brown.
nose-
Yes.
So cool.
Literally that. Yeah.
I mean, of course, if you wash your nose before you leave the toilet,
Yeah.
then
Does the brown nosing
you
take place in the
won't-
bathroom?
in certain circumstances, maybe. I don't know.
Go on,
Okay, so is it my turn now?
Yeah.
My pet peeve this week is I do not like people who withhold their number,
Ooh.
who call
That's a
you
good
from
one.
that no caller ID or whatever the
Private
hell it
number.
is, private number. I'm like, why? Why do you not want me to know it's you calling?
You're the generation that gets phone calls, though.
It's
It's
weird.
not probably us.
Private text
Yeah,
message.
and why do you not have that option in WhatsApp and text message? You don't have that option there, do
But
you?
that's scarier.
It's scarier receiving a text message from an anonymous number than it is receiving a call from an anonymous
I think it's
number.
because would you be able to text back if it's an
Well, if it's withheld, you should be able to, right? I don't
You
know.
can't call withheld numbers.
Oh, can
back.
you not?
no, you
Oh,
can't call them back.
It's
I
a
think
one.
it's-
It's a
I
one
don't
way.
know.
One way
Call.
kind of call.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And you can't even get it in your
Is it MI5 calling you?
It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, why are
Wait.
you acting like
Or the
MI5?
Queen.
Do you
know?
answer the calls?
No.
Do you know who it is? You've
No.
never answered.
No,
yeah.
I don't
I won't
answer
answer.
on purpose as a matter of principle. It's kind of like, why do you not want me to know?
But
who
I
you
don't
are?
know who you are. I don't know if I've got the time to talk to you right now. So
then you hang up afterwards. Maybe it's the Queen saying, "Do you want to come for tea?" Missing out your opportunity.
It's sometimes
No.
companies though, like through work.
It's companies that are not ones that you actually want to talk to, though. It's like, hello, we're calling because you were in an accident yesterday.
Oh,
It's
PPI.
like, no.
So Thames Water calls with a withheld number.
Well, that's
and so I have
God.
to answer every time.
That's
I
their
see an unknown
drivers.
Number.
That's weird.
that's their engineers, though, isn't it?
No,
What,
it's
the entire
actually like
company?
the people, anyone from Thames Water that calls you, other than the actual engineer that calls you on their mobile, that's on site. The rest of them call on withheld numbers, and you have
Why?
to.
Your pet peeve should have been Thames Water.
On another episode.
On a separate
usually
note.
it's recruiters.
Maybe. I mean, because I never answer it, I don't actually know who it is. Because I'm just kind of like, well,
It's a really sort of an anonymous one, that one. It's like really mysterious because you'll never know what it is.
yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
And that- I
they,
think
ne-
that's
and they
the
never leave a
annoying thing.
message either. And then I'm just kind of like,
But you must have got loads of prank calls as well because when I think withheld, I think someone's doing prank calls.
But I think that's our generation.
Yeah.
though.
I think that it's either someone who is trying to trick me and actually doesn't want me to know it's them and wants me to pick up and wants to trick me into a conversation they know I don't want to have. Or it is like one of these PPI or some other random, insurance, or you got run over by a bus, we want to give you some money, or whatever it is. It's either like one of those companies that you actually don't want to talk to, or it's an actual person that knows you don't want to talk to them. And it's like, if you know I don't want to talk to you, don't call me.
I think the added annoyance is if you block, say, if like PPI and people like that call you and you block their number.
They changed
They
their
can't.
number.
Well, at first they can't contact you, text them or whatever. But if they always have it withheld, you can your phone is your own right. You should be able to control what comes in and what
Yeah.
goes out. And if everything is withheld, you'll never have that
Yeah.
control. And I think that kind of is another part of the pet peeve is the lack of control.
Yeah, and they do find other numbers though. The ones that aren't withheld from PPI
Yeah,
and
it's
whatever,
true.
because they call me, I say no, and then I block the number immediately because I think I know they're going to call me back. But then they call you back and you're like, what is this number? Why this is so I have this long list of blocked numbers on my phone who are all from these companies trying to sell some sort of insurance or something.
The funny thing with the insurance companies is when they call you, you answer the phone, and then it sounds like they've answered the phone like a second afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, wait, who called? And it's like really weird noises that you
It's
get
like
from
some
them.
sort of automated.
It is automated.
It is
It's-
automated, but
Yeah.
it's so obviously automated.
I didn't think they were allowed to do that.
Well, I thought the law had changed
Yeah,
too.
I think
but
it
they're
has.
still doing it though.
Yeah.
Well,
still
if
doing
it's
it.
on
can
withheld.
definitely you can put your number on a list where they
Yeah.
won't call
Oh
you.
no,
Really?
no!
You have to read all these.
No,
terms
that
and
exists.
conditions.
However, because our house phone has that, but we still get cold callers now.
Yeah, but if you do that, then you can just get the company and they can sue them.
Oh, is that what happens? Oh, I just thought your information isn't sort of declared. But anything you sign up for now
Yeah,
with your
it's
number,
got your information.
it's just there. It's sold. Google has it and they sell it to everyone they
That's
want
the
to
most
sell it
annoying
to.
thing, putting my phone number into things. I'm like, or like my
Well,
postcode. I'm like,
Apparently,
why?
people don't give their real numbers anymore. Like I spoke to my little brother, and he goes, like he was laughing at me because I signed up for internet. He goes, "You put your real email in?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "I just do any digits with an @" in the middle." I was like, "Oh."
Yeah, but
That is such
But
a
then
good
you
shout,
can't
though.
receive
Like-
the email because
Yeah.
you have to receive the email and
Yeah.
authorize it or check
It's not-
it.
That's
or
why you
do
should have
something.
two emails. You have one that you do all that with, and then you have the other one that you communicate with people.
Yeah, I've got that. I've got
Well,
like a sign up
Let's wait
email.
for Apple.
Don't plug it.
Product
but,
placement.
Yeah. But no, that's gonna be
my
such a small
junk's
thing
actually
anyway.
really good on my email.
Mm.
It literally just throws everything into junk. Like
Yeah, but
everything.
my
I
job
never
offer
get-
was thrown into junk.
Oh yeah, my school offer from Glasgow got
There you
got
go.
junk. But
Wow.
other than
I
that,
don't know about
usually
you
it's
guys.
really really good.
But yeah, going back.
Going back.
Mm.
Okay, so now the power is in your hands, guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna vote for.
Can we do it for 3? Should we do it together?
No. Go on, one by one. Go on, Luca. My God, what this is a long
I'm gonna
suspense.
go
What's
first.
happening?
I think.
Yeah.
Oh wait.
Oh my God.
No,
This
I'm
is
gonna go
very-
for brown nosing.
Brown nosing. Okay.
Also because I don't get annoyed about.
Well, I don't like lack of control. I hate anything that I think that's why I hated my pet peeve so much. I think I'm gonna have to go for the.
Oh, again, Osmar, it's in your hands. God, you've got a lot of power today.
I know, right? Oh my god. Okay.
That's my wish
Well.
she was listening.
With the brown nosing, maybe because I've only worked in a certain way where I've not had that many people to, you know.
Brown nose.
Yeah. No, like it's
you
not.
doing the
No,
brown
it's
nosing.
not me. As in,
People
like, it's
trying to-
only really been
Yeah.
us two until recently.
Osmar, only brown nose is me.
I've not had to watch other people brown nose you, is what I'm trying to say.
I think you'd get jealous if somebody else brown nosed you.
I know, right? I need to punch them in the face.
Wow. Call them a private number.
No, so I guess because I haven't experienced it in a workplace.
You're my private dancer.
I'm just going to go with the private number and end the conversation here.
Okay, so in your face. They get longer every time you press this button, I feel like. And Claire, sorry. So that concludes this week's episode. So thank you very much to my guests for joining me. And thank you for joining us for another episode of Poopology. And please come back next week, Monday.
Should have spoken about pumpkin pie.
You
What-
take a pumpkin.
You turn it into a pie.
Pumpkin pie done.
And you wrap it in pastry and you bake it in the oven.
Yeah.